the 7 stages of the leader. Let me start with a quotation. Great leaders always seem to embody 2 seemingly disparate qualities. They are both highly visionary and highly practical. These words are from Dr. John Maxwell, the #1 best-selling author and authority on leadership. Leaders without a clear vision cannot accomplish extraordinary results. Thinking big is a necessity for a leader. In this masterclass, I will take you on becoming an exceptional futurist leader, step by step. Think of the most outstanding leaders you know. For many, the name Nelson Mandela comes to mind. All of the most outstanding leaders who have ever lived followed the following 7 steps. Which are the 7 steps? The first one is the infant leader. The second, the scholar. The third one is the lover. The fourth one is the soldier. The fifth one is the general. The sixth one is the statesman. And the final one is the sage. Throughout a leader's life, leaders will realize which stage they are passing through. Stage 1, the infant executive. What does that mean? At this stage, a leader tends to be a young person who just got their job. It is essential to find a mentor or a bigger brother or bigger sister to not be alone at this phase. The mentor will help you develop properly. Mentors play an essential role in shaping better leaders. The mentors are mainly used to provide experience and wisdom for young leaders. The world that lies ahead is a mysterious, frightening place for the young man or woman on the brink of becoming a leader. Few resort to a mailing, but many wish they had the corporate equivalent of a nurse, someone to help them solve problems and ease the painful transition. Instead, the fortunate neophyte leader has a mentor, a concept that has its origins in Greek mythology. When Odysseus was about to go off to war, the goddess Athena created mentor to watch over the hero's beloved son, Telemachus. The fact that the mentor had both men and women attributes hints at the richness and complexity of the relationship, suggesting a deeper bond than that between a teacher and a student. Unfortunately, in the real world, goddesses don't intervene and mentors seldom materialize on their own, while the popular view of mentors is that they seek out younger people to encourage and champion. In fact, the reverse is more often true. The best mentors are usually recruited, and one mark of a future leader is the ability to identify, woo, and win the mentors who will change their life. The message for the infant executive: recruit a team to back you up. You may feel lonely in your first top job, but you won't be totally unsupported. Stage 2, the scholar with a shining face. The first leadership experience is an agonizing education. It is like parenting in that nothing else in life fully prepares you to be responsible to a greater or lesser degree for other people's well-being. Worse, you have to learn how to do the job in public, subjected to unsettling scrutiny of your every word and act, a profound, unnerving situation for all but that minority of people who genuinely crave the spotlight. like it or not. As a new leader, you are always on stage, and everything about you is fair game for comment, criticism, and interpretation or misinterpretation. Your dress, your spouse, your table manners, your diction, your wit, your friends, your children, your children's table manners, all will be inspected, dissected, and of course, judged as well. And nothing is more intense than the attention paid to your initial words and deeds. As any first time presidential candidate can tell you, psychotherapy says that the first 10 minutes between doctor and patient are the most critical. And studies show that friendships formed by college students during orientation are the most enduring. Social psychologists have found that we base people's misjudgments or judgments on skinny slices of behavior. We human beings decide whether we are in sync or out of tune with another person in 2 seconds or less. That is true. So it is with the leaders and organizations. Your first acts will win people over, or they will turn people against you, sometimes permanently. And those initial acts may have a long-lasting effect on how the group performs. It is, therefore, almost always best for the novice to make a low-key entry. This buys you time to gather information and develop relationships wisely. It allows you to learn the organization's culture and benefit from the wisdom of those who are already there. A quiet entry allows the others in the group to demonstrate what they know, and it allows you to establish that you are open to the contributions of others. It shows them that you are a leader, not a dictator. However, it is worth noting that you can influence other people's image of you only to a limited extent, no matter your first actions. The people working under your leadership will have formed an opinion about you when you walk into the office, even if they have never met you. Some may love you, others may hate you, trust you, and distrust you, but they are probably taken a stand, and their position may have very little to do with who you actually are. The leader often becomes a screen onto which followers project their own fantasies about power and relationships. Leaders are created out of needs, wants, fears, and of course, longings. Events that predate your arrival will only shape followers' views of you. For example, in an organization that has been through a crisis, several rounds of layoffs, say, people are liable to assume that you are there to clean house again and may respond with either open hostility or flattery to keep their jobs. Others may see you as their savior because of the bad leadership of your predecessor. Your first challenge is not taking your new followers' assessments too personally. The second and far trickier, the challenge is to embrace that some aspects of their assessments may be accurate, even if they put you in an unflattering light. Stage 3, the lover with a woeful ballad. What does it mean? Shakespeare described a person in his third age as singing or sighing like a furnace, something many leaders find themselves doing as they struggle with the tsunami of problems every organization presents. One of the most challenging leaders who has come up through the ranks is how to relate to former peers who now report to you. Today's leaders will instantly recognize the young king's predicament. It is challenging to set boundaries and fine-tune your working relationships with former cronies. Most organizations, except the military, maintain the fiction that they are at least semi-democracies. However autocratic they are, in fact. As a modern leader, you don't have the option of telling the person with whom you once shared a pod and lunchtime confidences that you know her or not. But relationships inevitably change when a person is promoted from within the ranks. You may no longer be able to speak openly as you once did, and your friends may feel awkward around you or resent you. They may perceive you as loading your position over them when you are just behaving like a leader, of course. One mark of a future leader is the ability to identify, woo, and win the members who will change your life. The advantage of knowing the organization and its players. The challenge for the newcomer is knowing who to listen to and who to trust. Leaders new to an organization are swamped with claims on their time and attention. Often the person who makes the most noise is the neediest person in the group and the one you have to be most wary of. Focusing your attention on the most clamorous of your followers will not only anger and alienate the healthier among them, it will distract you from working with the entire group on what actually matters, accomplishing a joint mission. Knowing what to pay attention to is just as important and tricky. Leaders coming into their organizations are often thwarted by an unconscious conspiracy to preserve the status quo in their efforts to effect change. Problem after problem will be dumped in your lap, plenty of new ones, and bulging archive of issues left unresolved by previous administrations. And responding to them all ensures that you will never have time to pursue your own agenda. Newcomer or not, almost all leaders find themselves having to ask others to leave the organization, firing them. To put it bluntly, this is always a painful task, if only because it usually devastates the person being let go, and because the timing is never opportune. Facing you across the desk always seem to be the employee who has just delivered triplets or bought an expensive house. There is little available to guide leaders on doing this awful business humanly. Only remember that you have people's emotional lives in your hands in such circumstances as any surgeon or a lover does. Stage number 4, the bearded soldier. Over time, leaders grow comfortable with their role. This comfort brings confidence and conviction, but it also can snap the connection between the leader and the followers. Two things can happen as a result. Leaders may forget the true impact of their words and actions, and they may assume that what they are hearing from followers is what needs to be heard. While leaders' first words and actions are the most closely attended, the scrutiny never really ends. Instead, followers continue to pay close attention to even the most offhand remarks. The more influential the leader is, the more careful they must be, because followers may implement an idea that was little more than a passing thought. Forget this, and you may find yourself in some less dramatic version of King Henry the second situation when he muttered of Thomas a Bucket, "Will no one read me of this meddlesome priest?" And 4 of his nobles promptly went out and murdered the cleric. So many modern day Henrys have mused along. We should be looking at our technology strategy, only to be confronted a few months later with thick PowerPoint presentation and a hefty consulting bill. Well, remember that followers don't tell their leaders everything. A second chance for leaders in their ascendancy is to nurture those people whose stars may shine as brightly as, or even brighter than, the leader's own. This is the real test of character for a leader in many, many ways. Many people cannot resist using a leadership position to thwart competition. In contrast, authentic leaders are generous. They are human and may experience the occasional pang at watching someone accomplishing something they cannot. But they are always willing, even anxious, to hire people who are better than they are, in part because they know that highly talented underlings can help them shine. Stage number 5, the general fool of wise souls. What does it mean? One of the most significant challenges a leader faces at the height of their career is not simply allowing people to speak the truth, but actually being able to hear it. Once again, Shakespeare proves instructive in this case. For example, in Julius Caesar, Caesar goes to the forum on the Ides of March, apparently unaware that he will die there. He could be, it's he not have known that something dreadful happened on that inauspicious day. The soothsayer warns him to beware of the Ides of March. There are signs of impending evil that any suspicious Roman will have been able to read, including an owl hooting during the day and a lion running through the streets. While authentic leaders, by contrast, don't have what people in the Middle East call tired ears. Their egos are not so fragile that they cannot bear the truth, however harsh, not because they are saints, but because it is the surest way to succeed and survive. The real test of a character for a leader is to nurture those people whose stars may shine as bright as, or even brighter than, the leader's own. The corporate world is filled with stories of leaders who fail to achieve greatness because they fail to understand the context they were working in or get the support of their underlings. Stage number 6, the statesman with spectacles on nose. Shakespeare's Sixth Age covers the years when a leader's power begins to wane. But far from being the buffoon suggested by Shakespeare's description of lean and slippered pantaloon, the leader in this stage is often hard at work, preparing to pass on their wisdom in the interest of the organization and society. The leader may also be called upon to play critical interim roles, bolstered by the knowledge and perception of age and experience, without the sometimes destructive ambition that characterizes an early career. One of the gratifying roles that people in late career can play is the leadership equivalent of a pitch hitter. Stage 7, the sage. Second, childishness. Mentoring has tremendous value to a young executive. The value accrues to the mentor as well. Mentoring is one of the greatest joys of a mature career. The professional equivalent of having grandchildren. At this time, the drive to prepare the next generation of leadership becomes a palpable ache. I have learned about the true nature of mentoring myself. It's inevitable reciprocity, and the fact that finding and cementing a relationship with a mentor is not a form of fawning, but the initiation of a valuable relationship for both individuals. When you mentor, you know that what you have achieved will not be lost, that you are leaving a professional legacy for future generations. The reciprocal benefits of such bonds are profound, amounting to much more than warm feelings on both sides. Mentoring isn't a simple exchange of information. For example, neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky lived among wild baboons, and found that alliances between old and young apes were of effective survival strategies. Older males affiliated with younger males lived longer, healthier lives than their unallied peers. As a result, individuals in a mentoring relationship exchange invaluable, often subtle information, whether ape or human. The elder partner stays plugged into an ever-changing world, while the younger partner can observe what does and does not work as the elder partner negotiates the tricky terrain of aging. Research suggests that the ruling quality of leaders, adaptive capacity, allows true leaders to make the nimble decisions that bring success when comparing older and younger leaders. Adaptive capacity allows some people to transcend the setback and losses that come with age and reinvent themselves repeatedly. Shakespeare called the last age of a person the second childishness. For the fortunate enough to keep their health, and even for those not as fortunate, age today is neither end nor oblivion. Instead, it is the joyous rediscovery of childhood at its best. It is waking up each morning ready to devour the world, full of hope and promise. It lacks nothing but the tardier forms of ambition that make less sense as each day passes. In summary, let us review the 7 stages of a leader. We started with an infant. A leader tends to be a young person at this time, someone that just got their job. At this phase, it is essential to find a mentor, a bigger brother or bigger sister, to not be alone and develop properly. The use of a mentor to develop them into better leaders. The next one is a schoolboy. This is the second youngest position as a leader. In this position, you must be able to handle and the pressure due to the constant scrutiny from bosses and co-workers. If not done correctly, you might succumb to the pressure. This means you must be able to analyze the workplace, its advantages and disadvantages. By getting a clearer view of the work environment, you will earn more respect and it will be easier to get into a better role. The lover. This is a stage where one must cope with many problems. When someone becomes a leader, some relationships might be broken. This new position changes one's attitude towards their co-workers and ultimately causes a lot of disruption. Here, you must be able to clarify and not keep emotions secret. The soldier. At this phase, the individual has become comfortable with the role. Here, leaders mustn't forget their impact on their followers. Sometimes by saying something to their employee, they might interpret it differently, causing unnecessary confusion. Also, they need to understand that the followers do not tell the leader everything, and that the leader should not make rash decisions for the followers. The general. Now, these leaders have earned a degree of confidence and arrogance. Experience also builds at this phase. However, the leader must be worried that the work environment will be destroyed if they fail to listen to the problems. This means that they should be able to identify the problem early. Leaders need to keep their egos behind them, as it will ultimately help them in the future. The statesperson. At this point, the leader has gained much wisdom and experience. They tend to be very hard and are prepared to give younger individuals the knowledge they have gained. They play the interim roles at this time. This is the phase where they become mentors for other younger leaders. The sage. This is where they become the infants' leaders' mentors. They pass on their knowledge to someone who finds interest in this subject and their field of study and experience. This allows them to provide opportunities to infant leaders for them to succeed in their careers. In conclusion, the 7 stages make it very clear how the development of leaders begins very early. I believe all the 7 stages are critical and that they occur. Therefore, infant leaders must get various sources of help to develop their talents and become great leaders in this big world of change. It might be complicated to monitor all the 7 stages in a rapidly changing environment, but it is essential for leaders worldwide to follow these 7 steps. To elevate your standard and master the content of this masterclass, reflect on the following questions. What are the key lessons you learned from this masterclass? How do you think these lessons will add value to the quality of your life? What are the 3 specific actions you plan to take in the next 24 hours? I'm glad we journeyed together during this masterclass. We appreciate you coming over, and we promise that only the very best content ever will be put on this platform. To continue our journey together, hit the subscribe button on the YouTube platform. Let us know what inspires you and how best we can serve you on this platform. Hit the subscribe button and be the first person to get the new content from this platform. We pause here for now. Signing off, Dr. Masasekani Misha Kosa, the thinking futurist. Thank you.